Invoking AWS Lambda functions from various services, a comprehensive guide. This podcast is brought to you by Business Compass LLC. We are an Amazon Web Services advanced consulting partner. We build and migrate workloads to Amazon Cloud. Our website is businesscompassllc.com. Our phone number is 973-638-2228. Our email address is contact@businesscompassllc.us. AWS Lambda has revolutionized how we think about serverless computing, allowing developers to execute code in response to events without provisioning or managing servers. However, understanding the different methods to invoke Lambda functions from other services is crucial for building efficient and scalable applications. In this podcast, we'll explore 3 critical methods for invoking AWS Lambda functions, utilizing AWS SDKs, implementing AWS step functions, and leveraging Amazon SNS or SQS, utilizing AWS SDKs for Lambda invocation. AWS SDKs provide a convenient way to invoke Lambda functions directly from your application code. Here's a look at how you can use AWS SDKs in different programming languages. Boto3 for Python. Boto3 is the AWS SDK for Python, simplifying working with AWS services. To invoke a Lambda function using Boto3, you can use the invoke method from the Lambda client. Import Boto3. Hash initialize a session using Amazon Lambda. Client equals Boto3.client Lambda. Hash invoke the Lambda function. Response equals client.invoke. Function name equals me Lambda function. Invocation type equals request response. Payload equals JSON.dumps key 1, value 1, key 2, value 2. Print response payload. Read. AWS SDK for Node.js. The AWS SDK for Node.js offers similar functionality for invoking Lambda functions. Here's an example. Const AWS equals require AWS SDK. Const Lambda equals new AWS Lambda. Const params equals function name, my Lambda function. Invocation type, request response. Payload, JSON.stringify, key 1, value 1, key 2, value 2 semicolon. Lambda.invoke params, data, equals greater than. If, console.error, else console.log.json.parse, data.payload, semicolon. Implementing AWS step functions for orchestrating Lambda calls. AWS step functions provides a powerful way to coordinate multiple AWS services into serverless workflows. You can use step functions to manage the orchestration of various Lambda functions, ensuring each step of your application executes in order and handles errors gracefully. A typical step function definition might look like this. Comment, a simple AWS step functions example. Start at Step 1. States. Step 1. Type, task. Resource, ARN, AWS, Lambda region account ID function, my Lambda function 1. Next, Step 2. Step 2. Type, task. Resource, ARN, AWS, Lambda region account ID function, my Lambda function 2. End, true. Leveraging Amazon SNS or SQS for triggering Lambda functions. Amazon Simple Notification Service, SNS, and Amazon Simple Queue Service, SQS, can trigger Lambda functions, providing flexible messaging patterns and decoupling your application's components. Using Amazon SNS, SNS can push messages to Lambda functions in real time. You create an SNS topic, subscribe your Lambda function to the topic, and publish messages to trigger the function. Import Boto3. SNS equals Boto3.client SNS. Response equals SNS.publish. Topic ARN equals CERN, AWS, SNS region account, ED, MESSENS topic. Message equals Shalom, world. Subject equals dist, SNS, Lambda trigger. Print response. Using Amazon SQS. SQS allows you to queue messages that Lambda functions can process. This is useful for handling high-throughput, bursty, or unpredictable workloads. Import Boto3. SQS equals both03.client, SQS. Response equals SQS.send_message. Key URL equals https://region.amazonaz.com/account id/mosque. Message body equals hello, world. Print response conclusion. Understanding the different methods for invoking AWS Lambda functions from other services can significantly enhance your application's architecture and scalability. Whether using AWS SDKs, step functions, or messaging services like SNS and SQS, each approach offers unique benefits for different use cases. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please share this podcast, visit our website, and follow our social media links.